All right, so we're going to jump on to the first story of the day that I want to tackle is Jussie Smollett.
Okay.
So we all know Jussie from Empire fame, right?
Yep.
Huge show a few years back. And Jussie was a great character on there, great actor. And he was blowing up. Remember he got on that show, and he's got a bunch of his brothers and sisters. They're all famous. They've been acting since they were really kids, but Jussie really came into his own on that show, right? Taraji was Taraji P. Henson was on that show. Obviously, Lee Daniels produced the show, and he just blew up. He was like rising just like that until really, really sad story. So I think it was back in, now it's damn near 5 years, brother. I think it was like 2019.
Wow.
I think where he had that fake racist hoax attack that he said that he was attacked. In Chicago, I believe, and he says that he was attacked, and it was a whole big thing. And everyone, when that story first broke back in 2019, people was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it happened to Jussie," and it was horrible, and it was just a sad story. Everyone felt bad for him until they didn't. Until they didn't, right? Then the news came out that
he hired a couple of Nigerian brothers. You know what I mean? I think literally some brothers, right?
Right, that was his friends or whatever, and and beat him up and all that stuff, which was really crazy because if you see someone really climbing the celebrity in the entertainment world and blowing up, you would say, well, why would you do something like that? Now he says it's the truth, and he still is sticking to that till this day. He spent a couple days in jail for it. He was found guilty. I think it was like 150 days he was supposed to be in there. No, it was $150,000 he got bail to get out, but he was supposed to spend, I forget how many days, but he only spent 6 days in jail.
Right.
So then he got out. So anyway, that blew over, and he's been out of the spotlight for a while, right? He's been out of the spotlight. Well, he's back, bro. He is back with a new movie called The Lost Holiday, starring Vivica A. Fox, which he calls his aunt. I don't think this is really his aunt, but I guess they're so close, he's known her for years, right? So he is doing the movie with her. I think Mona Scott Young is on the production team, so they're all a part of this movie right now. He's been doing this movie for like 8 years. He says he couldn't do it without Vivica, and so he's back out there now, right? People were saying, okay, was his career totally over, right? This was a big hoax that went on back in the days, and people's like, oh, his career is over. It's done, finito. It's not going to happen. Why would he do this? He's done. Well, he's saying, no, not quite yet. I'm back. So he got his new movie out that he's produced and acting in it, and he did the whole thing. So I guess my question to you is, do you think that he will actually be able to, he is back, he's been back, but do you think that it's actually going to work? Is he going to maybe get back to that level of success and fame and back to where he once was going to be? He was going to be that next big star, or do you think people are still looking at him like, bruh, I don't still believe you, man. I'm not going to let you get back into Hollywood. It's over for you. It's done. Or do you think they'll just forgive and forget? How do you think this is all going to play out for Jussie?
Well, I think it all depends on the project that he works on. Like a lot of things hit for the shows on
Empire.
A lot of things hit correctly.
Yeah,
right?
It's a great show. Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
So and so that catapulted a number of folks, Jussie being one of them.
Yeah.
So he needs a project that way. Do I think people have forgiven him? Yeah, I'd say generally. I don't know people were totally ticked off at him. It was something that he did to himself, really. I don't think he necessarily hurt anyone. It's like he wasted a lot of time. I know people are pissed off at him behind that. But I would say generally fans and people overall were not, inside out about, their feelings for him or anything of that nature. I just think that without the vehicle, and when I say vehicle, I mean the project to work on, that to me is where it happens. There's no reason to talk about him. There's no reason to to mention him, to advocate for him. He's just not in our consciousness. He's not in our view. We don't see him. Mm-hmm. He isn't anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So, listen, in retrospect, that might be the best thing that happened to him, right?
Okay.
Because you had Dave Chappelle and others, people, he was fodder for comedy for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So, in some regards, it's probably good that it didn't happen.
Right.
You mentioned his movie. Mm-hmm. Said he's producing it. So that tells me, I could be wrong, but that sends a signal to me that he still doesn't have the backing from Hollywood, right? That he had to do this on his own, which is fine, right? And maybe this is the project that helps him get back in the consciousness on the positive side and returns him to that same trajectory that you were talking about.
Right.
I don't know what the project is. I don't know what this is. You mentioned Vivica Fox, who's probably seen some of her better days as an actress. These people, they're constantly rotating and so on. No disrespect to sis, but she's not an A celebrity at this point. Well, let's see. This project could be a great project. Maybe it blows up and all of a sudden we're talking about him again favorably. That remains to be seen, though.
Yeah, he actually, when you said he's producing it, it's a good point because I was watching an interview he did the other day, and he was saying that he was auditioning a lot over the years, over these past 5 years, for different roles in different movies, and he wasn't getting any roles, obviously, because people didn't want to be associated with him. Very interesting enough. So Lee Daniels, who produced Empire, he was being interviewed the other day, and they was asking about his relationship. Well, first they asked Jussie about his relationship with Lee Daniels, and Jussie said, "Listen, we're good. We Gucci. Everything's fine. Everything is great." Like he was saying, we talk all the time. We're good. And he says, "Listen, I wouldn't," which is true. I wouldn't have got my start if it wasn't for Lee. He gave him a start, and he had a huge role, and he was able to, showcase his great voice. He's a great voice, and he's a good actor, right? And so Lee Daniels gave him that chance. So he says everything is great. And then conversely, they was talking to Lee, and during when Lee was talking, it didn't really seem like they're really that close anymore.
Oh, wow.
Right. Yeah, okay. He was just saying, he was being very like, there's still like some kind of distance there.
Yeah,
right. If that good, right? So he was making it seem while he was talking to him like, just very distant, and like the relationship isn't as close as it once was. Now, we don't know what the real truth is. I would see that Jussie probably has to act like it's still great, it's still good, and everything like that, and maybe they're still cordial to each other. But that takes me back to everything he was auditioning for. People remember that, right? So I'm sure Lee wasn't very happy with him at that time because I think Empire at that time was coming to an end. But there was a lot of changes he had to make towards the end because he was off the show for a good amount of episodes before when Lee wasn't planning for that. So I know that screwed him up a little bit, not a little bit, a lot actually. So I think there probably is a rift, but yes, he is producing this because he was getting a lot of no's because of what happened with the whole hoax. And he says, never again will I allow myself to hear no. He will, when you're producing and you're doing all these things on your own, you are your own boss. So you're going to make your own movie. So I don't think he had any other choice but to produce his own movie and make it happen because nobody else was giving him a chance. And then when you have your friends, like if I do something wrong, bro, you're my brother, right? You're going to back me, no matter what, right? At least I hope so. You know what I'm saying, Doc? I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Have these folks thinking something.
Right. So in his case, he knew Vivica for years since he was a little boy, right? He calls her auntie and she calls him nephew. So your people are going to be there for you through thick and thin, even if whether they believe you or whether they don't. I think they're going to stick with you, and I think that's what she did for him.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. And, who knows? Maybe she needs to work too. I don't know. But again, I'll go back to what I said before. It's the project. Like if the project blows and we're talking about it will erase all sins. It'll sanitize the funk, the stink,
right?
Everything that is associated with him. Listen, Lee Daniels and Monique are back together. Like if they can find they can find their way back together. Then I don't see why Jussie can. And listen, I love the idea that he is doing this thing on his own, right?
Yeah.
What's the old saying? Like, go on the side of the road if your car breaks down, and try to wait for help. No one will stop, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But with that broken down car, if you try to push it by yourself, people will pull over and help you push the car, right?
Yeah.
Moral of that story is people want to see you doing something, right?
Yeah.
Even to help your own cause.
Right.
So maybe that is the catalyst to help him kind of get out there. People start seeing that he's kind of doing things on his own.
Right.
But it's real, man. Like, I don't know if there's the proverbial blacklist.
Right.
Exist, but there's something there,
right?
And if you're not getting callbacks, it's not always because you don't fit the part or they don't think you can act,
right?
I think what he's experiencing is real. Him and the Jonathan Majors of the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're boxed out, man. Like, the people just don't want that, and there is a element to it that I understand. Listen, if you understand just how movies are made,
right?
And it's the investment level from so many sources. Listen, if I'm investing in a movie, as a movie company, which also has any number of other subsidiary companies that are also investing, if I think that there's a chance that people will not see this movie because they have an inverse or an adverse effect as a result of said actor being in a movie, why am I going to bother doing it?
Sure.
I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to risk my investment.
Right.
So I believe that that's a real thing, and it makes sense. So yeah, good for him. He should go out there and do it. Listen, I'd be interested to see what the feedback is. I don't think I'm going to run and see it.
Right.
I don't care one way or the other.
Right.
I didn't think that his that hoax. I can't even say alleged because he was convicted on it, so I don't have to say alleged. So the hoax that he was involved in, it was damn.
Well, he says it's true. Sticking to his story, he says it happened.
That's fine, but I'm just saying the fact that he was convicted legally, we don't have to say alleged, right?
Right.
But I didn't. Man, listen, I damn near saw it as a victimless crime, right? It didn't hurt anyone. It didn't take anything from anyone. Right. Now, granted, I know what the law says otherwise. Yeah. But I meant just from the people themselves. He didn't do anything. But I wasn't super engaged in his career before that. I wasn't super engaged with Empire. I knew of the show.
Right.
I think it's
a great show, man.
I think I watched an episode, maybe two, because of the phenomenon. Right. Walked away going, nah. It
wasn't for you.
Wasn't for me.
Okay.
And so I wish the brother luck, man. I wish the brother luck. And this is gonna be interesting. I'm a little interested to see what this project looks like.
Okay. Do you think people like to see people like, because sometimes you'll see people at the height of their success. Do you think a lot of the people get any kind of enjoyment when they see their superstars fall?
Oh my God! Hell yeah!
But why do you? Are they haters? Are they haters? Like, why do you? Because you'll see a lot of times when people they build them up, right? They want to see them get to this level, and a lot of times when you see, and I feel like it's a lot of our people sometimes they get to that level and they get some kind of enjoyment with them being torn down, and I often wonder, why do people do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the why. But. The original question, do we think people get off on that? Yeah, I think people enjoy seeing that. But I think also, too, we love the redemption part, too.
Yeah, right? The comeback.
Right, we like the comeback.
Okay.
We try to, in this country, we try to be known as a country that loves giving a second chance. And especially, again, if he's doing it on his own and pulling his self up by his bootstraps and all that stuff. But I think what's going to be hard for him to overcome, and you and I have talked about this on other shows on varying topics, is he's got to own it. And if he's still saying, "Hey, this didn't happen," despite all the evidence, we all saw the two gentlemen. We saw the camera footage. We saw like them at the airport, like the whole thing, right?
Right.
Like the prosecutors put out the timeline, and you saw it. And so here's the thing, man. When something happens and you lie, very fundamental approach. They say when you lie, it becomes a part of your future. When you tell the truth about something, it becomes a part of your past. You can now move on, right? I told the truth, now I can move on. When you lie about something that happened, it's still in front of you. It just never goes away because the lie is still there. It's still in front of you. You got to keep the lie going. You never move off from that, right? And so also, when there's so much compelling evidence and reason that people can see that this ain't the truth that you're saying, then you don't give people an opportunity to forgive you.
Right.
But you haven't showed any contrition. Why should we forgive you? If we can't forgive you, people will not move on. People will not give you a second chance. Like you haven't asked for the second chance. You haven't laid out on the carpet. Right. So those things I think will hurt him in terms of people moving on. It's a part of it, man. It's a part of it. And if you rob people of that, they're not going to give you grace.
Yeah, I think that his second chance is coming. I think people do want to. I think people are good. And people do want to forgive. And I think there's so much shit going on in this world right now. When other tragedies happen or different things happen in this world, like say like the Diddy case we're going to talk about next. But when there's different things that happen, people kind of forget and push back the old things that happen and kind of just move on. And I believe his core people are going to stick with him like Vivica is doing for him right now. And like you said, it goes back to the project. If it is a good project, if it is very good, I think that they will give him another chance. And he is very talented. And listen, I know you say about owning it. I know there's a lot of shit that goes on in my life that if I told you, you'd be like, Jay, stop that shit. Like, you lying. There's so many things that happen to me that if I just told people in general, they'd be like, you're lying. So I know he was convicted and whatever, guilty of it, whatever. However, it doesn't mean that he's really guilty. It could be true. I don't know. I mean, we may not believe it.
I don't know. I think even the guys who the other folks involved in it said it was true. Right. Like he's the only one staying here. So the co-conspirators are also saying, all right. Like he paid us to do this, right? Right. And so I don't know. I think it's difficult to forgive those who are not asking for forgiveness, right? They're not. Not only is he not asking for forgiveness, he's not even acknowledging or owning the fact that something even happened, right? So he's trying to, I think many would believe that he's trying to Jedi mind trick us into saying, well, like our eyes are lying to us, like the co-conspirators are lying. I don't know. And if it's in terms of his core people, the Vivicas and his core friends and acquaintances, and they're going to be there regardless. So he didn't lose them, so I don't think he has them to gain. I think it's the other parts. It's the reason why you're not getting those roles. That's the community we're talking. It's how do you bring those people back in, right? Those people that don't have this level of investment in you, right? Who are going to be there no matter what. You don't worry about them because they're there no matter what, right? We're talking about the part of the reason why you have to underwrite this production on your own is because you're boxed out. You're like, they don't. So how do you gain them? Well, you gain them by apologizing, by owning it, right? How do you get the Lee Daniels of the world?
How do you get them back?
Feel comfortable to even say, hey, I'm associating with this person.
But he can't, Kay. He can't. Well, he cannot. Well, technically he can, but he can't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Create an environment to where it's easier for him to do that. But if you're still up there saying that this is not true, it never happened, well, then that's going to be difficult for others to even align with you because now I have to answer for what you did because you're not owning it. And I have to, well, why are you supporting him? I don't support him. I just refer, well, you're still like, you're aiding in this just because again, it goes back to what I was saying before. No one wants to deal with it. Like, why do I need to deal with it? I got I got a chest full of my own nonsense, and so now I have to speak for this over here. I'm not doing that, especially when the person doesn't want to own it himself.
Well, he did say that. Listen, I'm gonna do this project. I'm doing my work for those who believe me. It's great and whatever. And he said for those who don't, he says it's okay. He says I know my truth, and I know what happened. I'm gonna continue to work. Right. I'm gonna be able to do what I need to do. Right. And he doesn't have any ill will towards people who don't believe him anymore. Don't believe him. He's like, it's all good. You believe what you as long as he knows his truth, he's fine with it. And I do understand, even if it is a lie, he can't. It's too late. He can't come back and be like, oh yeah, by the way, I did it now.
No, he can. I definitely think.
I don't think he should. Even if it so you think he should?
Yeah, it's rare.
Don't you think it's too late?
I don't think it's too late.
After 5 years, you don't think it's too late?
He's still trying to get in. He's still boxed out. Why is it too late? He's still trying to make a name for himself, to reclaim his career. Right. If you knew this was the key to unlock that door, it can't be too late if you're still on the outside banging the door trying to get in. That how is it too late? You're still in the thick of it. People look at you and still see blank. Snicker, the pointing, whispering. It's there. Like we saw the evidence. We saw a lot of it. Like he was convicted for this.
Right.
The co-conspirators confirmed, right, what prosecutors thought. Right. And you're still up there saying no. Listen, it was, what was it? Was it a negotiating tactic for the show or something like that back then? It was like it all correlated to something else. I got it. I get it. It happens. Dude, you got caught. Own your shit, man. Like what okay.
Yes. So, but after all this time, Doc, what do you think? After all this time, Doc, do you think that he should, like K.O. says, be truthful and come out and say, oh, yeah, by the way, I did it? Or do you think that he should stick to his guns and rock out with the story?
First of all, Doc, that was not my voice. He did a horrible impression of me.
Well, I'm just saying that.
I just want to point that.
I'm just I'm just saying. You have to.
Like, I don't sound like that. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead,
You digress. What do you think, Doc?
I feel like him not just coming forward and say, all right, yeah, I got caught, hasn't been helping him.
Right.
So why switch not up. Try something different?
Right. Switch up.
It might get him somewhere.
Some sympathy points. Let people feel like, oh, wow. Like tell, at least if you own that and say, I did this. Now you can give reasons to why you did it. And then make people feel a bit like kind of connect with you. And then talk about what you did. Like to recover. I spoke to someone, and we love hearing about that. Like we went to talk about your issues and to work on it. Like he's not giving himself an opportunity for any of that. All of that good like forgiveness meat, right? That we could all gnaw on and chew on. Like Jussie, oh yeah, come on now, come on. He's not allowing people to do that. That didn't happen. Again, coming with the shaggy bullshit. It wasn't me.
Listen,
come on, man. Stop that.
Guys, it's too late. There is a small window that people who go through these controversies have to own it and apologize. Once you go past a certain point, you cannot go back, and it would be dumb. It would be dumb. It would be dumb because listen. You give a lie, stick with it.
I disagree.
I'm not saying that it is a lie, but I'm just saying he's got to rock out with it. Again, it could be truthful. He could be true. I don't know. Who knows?
His lying ass does. That's who knows.
His lying ass knows. Jussie, you keep doing your thing, brother. Listen, the movie's going to be great. He has a second chance. I think he is going to be successful, and I think we're all going to move on and he has the second chance.
Yeah, good luck, by the way.
Good luck.
I'm not hating on it.
Good luck.
And come on and show and promote your
Exactly. The Lost Holiday. We're going to speak to you, Justin.
Yeah,
We're going to speak to you.
There you go.